Chapter 12. Meanwhile, back at the oldies but goodies section, feigning great interest in the oldies various artists' collections to his far right, I walked, not too quickly, around the big guy. Closer than was absolutely necessary, but not so close as to arouse undue suspicion. I figured him to be about 6'1", maybe 6'2". I came right up to the nape of the man's neck. Halfway around the guy, I got a noseful of his smell. Clean sweat and Aramis. It was all I could do not to throw caution to the wind and bury my face in the guy's neck. Once around to the man's left side, I picked up Murray, the K's 1962 Golden Gassers, which I already owned, and pretended to be engrossed in the liner notes, while watching the big guy out of the corner of my eye. He was wearing basic gray sweats and black high-top basketball shoes, and a very old t-shirt, off-white and threadbare, and doing an admirable job of revealing more than it hid. The guy's chest was like a white cotton shelf. His back was so broad you could show movies on it. Maybe it was the Brando resemblance, but I had an immediate fantasy of ripping that t-shirt right off that back. "Hey, Stella." Just as my stream of thought began to flow toward the decidedly randy, the big guy turned and spoke to me. "Excuse me?" I momentarily panicked. My heart began beating Ringo's drum solo from Abbey Road, with the sudden irrational notion that this guy had somehow read my mind, knew what kinds of thoughts I'd been thinking about him, and was about to beat me to a smooth pace right there in the oldies but goodies section. I looked up into the guy's face, which was, to my great relief, pleasant, smiling, and familiar. It was him, Mr. Farback Table in the Shadows himself. And might I add that he was looking perfectly edible by the light of day. He wasn't handsome exactly, what with the pronounced eyebrow ridge, somewhat irregular nose, and what could either be interpreted as a naturally high brow or a retreating hairline. Not handsome, but sexy, you know. "You're a singer, aren't you?" His voice was a soft, husky upper baritone. A boudoir voice, if I ever heard one. "Guilty." "I saw you last night," he said. "You're very good," he smiled. It was some kind of smile. A major smile this or any season. A smile so bright you could read by it, so warm you could grow orchids by the glow of it, so wide you can't get around it. He was all the way handsome when he smiled. "Thank you," I said, ever the conversationalist. "Keith Keller," he said, extending his big right hand. "Johnny Ray Rousseau," I accepted his hand. His skin was soft, though I could feel the tiny hard buttons of flesh beneath his fingers, weightlifter's calluses, and cool to my touch. And, corny as it sounds, as that big hand enveloped mine, a funny little quiver went through me. I don't mean zing went the strings of my heart or anything, but a very definite quiver. I looked up into Keith Keller's smallish pale hazel eyes. "Gee whiz," as Carla Thomas once said, "look at his eyes." Was that possibly flirtation I saw sparkling in those eyes? Could that hand clasp have been just a tiny bit longer in duration than was absolutely necessary? Was there something significant in the brief squeeze Keith gave my hand just before realizing it? Was it possible that Paul McCartney really was dead, and that silly love song person merely an imposter? "You know what?" Keith said before I could ask myself any more stupid questions. "What?" "I bet you can help me." "Help you off with your pants, big fella. Cut it out, Johnny." "Really?" "I was looking for a song. My girlfriend Betsy, she was with me last night." "Oh, yes, the fat broad with the kung fu grip. I remember." "Anyways, she heard this song on KRTH. You know the oldies station. It's called The Bells. Have you heard of it?" "Heard of it? I've been known to perform it." Actually, I hadn't done the tune in over a year, but this was no time for irrelevant details. "You do? I don't suppose you've recorded it." "Nope, I can't say as I have, but I can tell you who has." "That'd be great. I'd really like to get it for Betsy." I found I experienced an involuntary abdominal spasm at every mention of this Betsy person. She really wants it. "Well, you've come to the right place. Come on." I led him across the store to the rock and pop end section and pulled out Laura Nyro's Gonna Take a Miracle, presenting it to Keith with a little wrist flourish. Voila. "Thank you," he said, smiling again. A long, shallow dimple indented his left cheek. I picked up an old Van Morrison tune on my mind's radio. "I'm in heaven, I'm in heaven, I'm in heaven when you smile." Now that's not the original version, I quite unnecessarily explained. The original is out of print. Naira's version is the best you can do these days. I have this tendency to spout trivia when nothing else comes to mind. Neither version, however, is as good as mine, I added. Really? He said, through a small chuckle. I found I could amuse him easily. I found I could amuse him easily. I found I liked it. I'd like to hear it. Well, you and your girlfriend, that is, will just have to come back to Sawyer sometime. When are you there next? Tonight. Great, I'll be there. You what? I said I'll be there. You're kidding. Why should I be kidding? You'll do the song? Sure. I'd have done a Carmen Miranda medley with fruit salad in my hair if that is what he wanted to hear. Then I'll be there, okay? Okay. Damn right, okay. See you tonight then. He offered his hand again, and I took it. I didn't really want to return it, but I could see that I was going to have to. And I got that damn quiver again. When I finally gave the big guy his hand back, it occurred to me that he didn't seem in any big hurry to take it. Back off, Johnny, I told myself. He's straight, Johnny, I told myself, as I watched his wide sweatpants behind and impossibly broad back disappearing down the aisle. He's straight, goddammit, I told myself. I think.